Hi guys, today I wanted to share my thoughts on Alliance Peacefighter, which is a game I've been playing for a few weeks now in VR. The game presents itself as a love letter to the golden age of space sims, and clearly draws quite a lot of inspiration from the old 90s classics like the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games and Wing Commander. I don't know about you, but I lost hundreds of hours to those games in my youth. In fact, I remember begging my parents for about half a year to upgrade our PC just so that I could play X-Wing Alliance. And if you haven't played X-Wing Alliance, then I strongly recommend you play that game as soon as possible, because it is probably the best Star Wars game ever made. It's likely on Steam for like £1 or something, but trust me, you will have 40 hours of the best space sim gaming of your life. Not only that, a bunch of modders have even upgraded X-Wing Alliance with modern graphics recently. That's how much of a following that game still has a quarter of a century later. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, so let's get to the review. Right, we'll start with gameplay. So in this game, you'll be spending the majority of your time piloting a starfighter, and not just any starfighter, no, but one of the most advanced starfighters in the galaxy. You're certainly in a better one than your enemies, because you're going to kill a lot of them. Sometimes there are like 50 plus enemies or more on the screen, and you'll be flying with these little wingmen as well, who are like funny little alien things reminiscent of Star Fox. To be honest, the character models could have been a bit better for these, but despite what they look like, they are really excellent pilots. In fact, sometimes they're almost too good, and they'll take out more enemies than you, certainly in my case. The flight controls are brilliant. I set mine up with my Logitech X56 HOTUS, and it was really easy. There aren't actually a ton of controls either, which is good in VR, as this means you won't have to rely on the keyboard. All of your ship systems are viewable in your cockpit, and the same as the X-Wing games and even the recent one, Squadrons, you can manage the power between your ship systems, meaning you can send power to your shields if you need to be more defensive, or boost up your weapons before you sweep in on an attack run like Luke Skywalker. You can even drift in this game like they do in Battlestar Galactica. It's so fun, guys. The dogfights are probably the highlight of the whole game. There will be swarms of enemies on screen, guys, and even after 60 missions, there were times when I was just gobsmacked by how good it looked. So let's talk about graphics now. The devs have obviously gone for quite a colourful, stylized look instead of trying to be hyper-realistic, but to be honest, I just think that the art style looks so good that I don't care. This is an indie game, guys. It's about £17. The ships look great, the battles and backgrounds look great, going to warp sounds and feels great. As I mentioned before, I'd say the character models for NPCs could have looked better, as they're a bit basic, to be honest. It would be nice to see them get upgraded at some point. Performance-wise, it was really smooth, and I had no issues in VR using my Quest 3. I did have some issues when I originally tried using my PSVR 2, where I would load into the main menu and my virtual head was just stuck in the floor, but I believe this did get patched about a week after release. Sound-wise, I was happy. There's not a ton of different music tracks, but they mix them up well, and they really have that Battlestar Galactica feel to them. The new Battlestar Galactica, which was The Sopranos in space, not the old one, which was shite. The weapons can sound a little bit muffled, but that didn't bother me too much, as I think that's how the sound would carry through the ship when you're in space. One thing that might be a negative for some is that there's no voice acting in the game, and so all the dialogue is delivered in text, which I suppose could be immersion breaking for some people. One bad point for me was the dialogue when it interrupts the gameplay. It's like your ship just freezes in space while you're reading what they say. This means that the game is also missing proper radio chatter during the battles, which I think is something that really ups the intensity in these types of games. I'd like to see that get changed in the future if they did get full voice acting for the game. And on that note, there is quite a lot of dialogue, because there is actually a proper story here. You'll start the game as a newly qualified pilot, and then all of a sudden find yourself in the middle of a conspiracy between a couple of galactic superpowers. I don't want to spoil anything, but shit goes down and there is drama. Nothing particularly groundbreaking, but there is drama, and I found myself interested in what was happening and how the story was going to unfold. Replayability wise, the campaign isn't huge. I think I'm on about 8 hours for my playthrough, but I definitely want to play again, and fair enough, you're not getting the huge expansive universes that you get in No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous, which are as wide as an ocean and as deep as a puddle, but this game never set out to deliver that. What it has delivered is a structured, story-driven campaign, and I think we need more of these personally. So, final verdict. For me, this game achieved what it set out to do, delivering that nostalgia and fun that we used to have in space sims in the 90s. Controls were great, graphics were great, being in the cockpit feels really immersive. So if you are on the lookout for a good story-driven space combat sim, then this is a big recommend from me. Thanks for watching, guys.